I am sharing Spellbinders All Club Crates for January 2026. This is all 8 of the club kits, and I cannot wait to share these with you guys. Hey crafty friends, it's Joy here, and I'm going to start with the stitching die of the month. But this background right here that I'm going to be ink blending is actually from the large die of the month, but I want to use this for my background. But I will have the video timestamped so you can see what card I'm working on. This is a bit of a longer video, so I do have things sped up quite a bit. You can slow it down with the little gear there on YouTube if you need to, but this videos are going to be long. So this is the background, and I'm just using some tumbled glass to do a little bit of ink blending. And then this piece right here is like a cloud piece. This is from the stitching kit of the month for January 2026. And so for this background, I want to die cut some of that, a little part of that out. And then in the embossing folder of the month, I'm going to run that through using that just to give us a little bit of texture at the top. And then I'm going to splatter this background and set it aside to dry, and we will come back to that part. But let's get to the stitching part. We've got this gorgeous butterfly that I die cut from a lavender cardstock, and I'm just going to start stitching. This is really easy. I'm going to go up to that bottom hole, and from the top going down, I'm just going to keep going from the bottom hole up to the top holes, and there's 2 sections of that on this wing, and then at the top there's a little circle, and I'm going to show you how we do that. After we get through that part, I will speed it up just a little bit just because we do have a lot of cards to get through. I'm super excited. This is my first year doing all of the club kits, and I will do a little bit of explanation about those, but it's called now All Clubs Crate, and I think that is really a lot of fun. So they did a little bit of changing for the clubs. So for 2026, you're going to get, if you're part of the All Clubs Crate member, so getting everything, you get 15% off of select Spellbinders products every day. You get 1 free shipping coupon to use every month. The Glimmer and Betterpress, they've been combined. So you're going to get a press and foil plate, and you're still going to receive foil, which is awesome. And you are going to get 10 8.5 by 11 sheets of ColorWheel cardstock that coordinates. You're going to get all the clubs plus 2 additional monthly bonus items, which is really, really fantastic. You can only get those exclusive items in this club. So really fun, really exciting. I'll be showing those too because I have those for you. Now, these flowers are part of that stitching club. Sorry, my brain totally decided to stop. I've die cut that from a green and white cardstock. I will have everything listed and linked for you guys below in the description. All of the cardstock except for the Kraft cardstock is from Spellbinders. Well, and except the white, and if I used black, I don't remember if I used black, that is from scrapbook.com. So we got these little pieces here on the flower that I'm gonna put on each one of our, these look like little daisies to me. So we're gonna put that there. For the most part, I kept the color schemes the same, but these cards are quite different from each other, which I think is really a lot of fun. And I, again, had a really good time putting all 8 of these cards together. So let's glue these gorgeous butterfly wings together. I was thinking of my daughter with this because she loved purple. That was her favorite color, like a darker purple. So I was just kind of thinking about her in this. Let's adhere the wings together. Then we have our body that we can adhere. And you can see how stitching that was really fast and easy. And I used a teal floss, but you don't have to stitch it. If you don't feel like stitching it, you just like the design, you cannot stitch it. It still is beautiful. I think a lot of times it looks like lace. Really quick, in the middle of that card, this is the stamp and coordinating die. It's just a bunch of sentiments this month, and so I'm going to gold heat emboss those. So I prepped it with an anti-static powder tool, sprinkled on my gold embossing powder, inked it up with the Versamark ink, and now I'm heating it with my heat tool. Then I can just die cut out, and I have a ton of sentiments for my card. So I just wanted to get that done ahead of time. Let's put our card together. Again, this background die here is from the large die of the month. I'm going to center that, place that little piece in there, pop some foam adhesive around the edge of this. This is 2mm foam adhesive. That top little cloud area, I will have 1mm foam adhesive behind that. And I just want to apologize. My voice keeps getting rough. I am still getting over the cold that I got on December 1st. And I was sick the whole month of December, like really, really not feeling good at all. So I'm still struggling. It's just so silly. Okay, let's pop that foam adhesive on. Just a little bit lower profile. I do like all the dimension on this. I think it turned out really, really lovely. And then I'm going to slide that into place. So we're creating this little tiny scene. I'm going to say loosely a scene. I have foam adhesive behind our flowers. I thought it'd be nice to have those kind of overlap on the outside of the card. And I love that it's a postage theme. I think that is so much fun. A little dot of glue to adhere those down. Some leaves, and then I can adhere down my butterfly. And I'm going to use one of those sentiments that we heat embossed. Let me put that in place. And I think that looks so pretty. And then foam adhesive behind the butterfly. 2mm for that. And I'm going to line it up to where it looks like it's smelling the flowers, I guess. Cards with some gold sequins from scrapbook.com. And there's that hello right in place. Okay, on to our next card. This is the Betterpress and foil plate. And I love this, you guys. I love it so much. So they have this little layering guide on some acetate, so you know where to line up your Betterpress. So I'm going to use ink on this. So I'm going to use it like the Betterpress, and then I'm going to foil the sentiment. So you're going to see both ways that you can use this kit. I'm flipping my cardstock over and lining that up. Then I'm just folding some low tack tape behind that because I really want to make sure this lines up perfectly on my A2 size card. I'm going to press that down, grab that cardstock, and flip it over. Totally perfect, lines up great. I am using some archival ink from Ranger, and this is Pebble Beach, and I think it's so pretty. And then I'm going to run this through my Platinum 6 die cut machine. I do like to go forward and backwards. Take that lid off and you're going to see we have this gorgeous image. Look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. Now let's foil the sentiments from that same kit, and here's the foil that it comes with. I think this was copper or something like that. Pretty side of the foil to the foil plate. I'm using Kraft cardstock. I'm going to run that through my same die cut machine. So you take that platform piece out. This is the Glimmer hot foil system. And then I'm going to remove that, and gorgeous. Then there is coordinating dies. I'm going to die cut those sentiments out and put those aside, and I can use them for mini projects. Now, I talked about your bonus items. This is a bonus item for this month. This stencil, if you get the All Clubs Crate, sorry guys, All Clubs Crate, then this is one of the bonus items you get. So it is a stencil for the bird and flowers on the left side of this image. And again, this is the Betterpress and foil kit. So of course I wanted this to feel a bit vintagey, if that's a word. And so I am kind of going for, I mean, one of the blues is dark, but I wanted to go softer-esque colors because I'm going to do some ink blending on this and kind of just distress the edges a little bit. So I'm going to use some Weathered Wood and Uncharted Mariner for the bird. Then I have Victorian Velvet and Peeled Paint for the flowers and leaves. Then Vintage Photo is going to go around the edge here. And just really, I'm kind of bringing it over. Again, I want this to feel like a really old postcard that's traveled a long way, and I think it's so, so pretty. So now that that's done, I'm going to splatter again with a little bit of Vintage Photo. And then I'm going to take my scissors and just gently rough up the edges just a little bit so it looks a little bit worn. Nothing crazy. And this will be adhered to a white A2 size card base. And I'm using the foiled, two of the foiled sentiments. It says Greetings by Post and Miss You. And then I'm adding some of the gold foil sequins. Okay, I want to show you this. This is the other bonus. This is a bonus die. Here's the layers. I'm not going to use this complete die. Then you have florals and little swirls and things like that that you add to it. But I'm going to use the two frames, the big frame and the small frame. So here's the big one from white cardstock. I'm going to do a fun ink blending combination. So I will be using Uncharted Mariner and then Victorian Velvet. And I loved this background so much that I did it for another card. I won't show the ink blending because I'm showing it here. And again, I'm speeding everything up. So if you need it to slow down a little bit, just hit that little gear and you can slow that down. Or you could speed it up too, because that's what my husband does. He listens to everything 2 times the speed. That would drive me insane, but that just works good for his brain. It cracks me up. So yeah, so you could speed it up or slow it down. Then I'm going to use the 3D embossing folder of the month. That's the kit we're working on now. And I'm going to line up that flower at the bottom and then run that through my Platinum 6 die cut machine. And look at how stunning that is. Oh, then I'm going to take some Victorian Velvet, I'm so sorry, and gently go over the flower in the blue area just to give a little bit of highlights. I'm going to add some 1mm foam adhesive behind that, adhere that to a white A2 size card base, and I'm going to use the Best Wishes sentiments that we did the gold heat embossing on. I added some foam adhesive behind that, and then I will finish this card also with sequins. They all are going to have some gold sequins on them. So that is the 3D embossing folder of the month. Then the next one, we are going to be working on the large die of the month. And here's these gorgeous little, these are not butterflies. Oh my gosh, hummingbirds, geez Louise. And again, I'm trying to keep in the same color scheme. So I just grabbed some cardstock. I have Chiffon, is it Oceanside? I think it is. And the purple, I don't know the name. I'd have to, that'll be listed and linked for you guys. But all of these are Spellbinders cardstocks. I'm going to use both of these birds, but not on the same project. Because I have 8 kits, I want some other images. So I kind of die cut extra on some of the things that I can use for the last 2 cards. And you guys will see that here in just a little bit. Thanks so much for hanging on. I hope that you're enjoying this. And the sign up for new members starts today, the 6th through the 27th. And I believe that if you sign up now, you will get what's pictured in the kit. So if you like what you've seen, you can get this the All Clubs crate, or you can just choose other ones individually, however it is you would like to do the kits. And they're absolutely worth it, you guys. You always get amazing things that you can have to make cards with forever and ever. And yeah, I love them. Okay, let's get these last few little pieces together here. This is going to be part of their wings. I just think they're so cute. And then you can see that background. That again is from the large die. This is the actual die that it's from. And I die cut the outer part blue, and there's an inside part that you can or you don't have to put in there. It's a, excuse me, like a, well, I guess it looks like a square. Maybe it's a rectangle-ish square. And you can cut the center out, or you don't have to cut the center out. So I do make a card in a little bit where I don't cut the center out, but I am going to ink blend that white center with some of the tumbled glass, just like I did on the first card. Here we've got these gorgeous flowers. I only end up using one on this card, but I'm going to save this other one for another card. And this is saffron cardstock. I'm going to tuck that in. I love these. We have flowers like these. I don't know what these are called, but we have some. They're orange, and our hummingbirds love them. And so do butterflies. They love them. They love them too. But we have a hummingbird that definitely patrols our yard. We hear him zooming by us when we're on our patio. And yeah, he loves these flowers. Okay, and then we also have the greenery that is for the bottom, and then it has some pretty little daisies that will go on top. So I'm just keeping that simple with white flowers. We have a lot of other colors going on, so to me the flowers just made sense to be white. And then we have the little centers that we can pop in place. So this is going to go at the bottom of our frame. I will trim it down slightly smaller on each side just so it fits, because it does stick out even with the postcard edges, but in between the parts that kind of indent, you could see it. And if it doesn't bother you, it doesn't matter, but it kind of bothered me, so I wanted to trim that a little bit smaller. Okay, so I adhered that centerpiece just like I did on the first card. I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue on the outside edges and adhere that to this top frame. I thought it would be pretty to have the flowers adhered here. This will be popped up with foam adhesive, and some of the other images will be kind of pushed back. So it gives you this nice layered effect. Let me adhere my pretty flower to the greenery here, excuse me, that I die cut from Fern cardstock. I laid that one in place, and then I'm going to lay the frame right on top of that just so I can get it exactly where I want it. Then I can add my foam adhesive behind this. So I'm going to let that dry for a second and then adhere a lot of these little green leaves around, and I will trim the excess off of that. I don't want that hanging really past the blue part of the cardstock. And again, I ink blended that and just adhered that right in the center. Let's add 2mm foam adhesive behind this, just to give us some dimension. And if you wanted to make this a shaker card, add your acetate before you add your foam adhesive, and you have an automatic shaker card, and that would be really cute and fun too. I probably should have made one. I love a shaker card, but I was just thinking all about the dimension and depth and things being, you know, layered back and in the front. That's really kind of what I was thinking, but you absolutely could do that, and that would be cute. Let's remove the release paper and put this right in place. Let me trim that excess off really quick. And then we can put that in place. How cute is that? And I love the white flowers against that blue frame. If I could just get it on straight, then we'd be good. Then some foam adhesive behind our hummingbird. And then I'm going to use one of the foiled sentiments from the previous Betterpress and foil kit. And this says "just because." And then I will add a couple of the gold foil sequins down here. And then the next card is the stencil of the month. And I started without recording. I'm so sorry. I'm using Victorian Velvet. And here's the first layer of the flowers. Here's the second layer of the flowers, and they're numbered. Here's the third and fourth layer. So the top part lines up to the flowers, and then those little 3 circles at the bottom are the centers of the flowers. I had it upside down, sorry guys. And so I'm just showing you it lines up like that. You do all your little pieces, then you move it up and you line up your centers. So now we can move on to 5 and 6. So sorry about that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm not recording. So I am using peeled paint for my green here. And this is on Kraft cardstock. And I'm just using some small sponge daubers to ink blend that. And this card turned out really, really pretty too. And you know, these are poppies, and I know poppies are red, and I think they're stunning. But I just wanted to keep it in the color scheme that I already had going. I didn't want to bring in more colors. So they are going to be pink, and there's a little bit of blue in the centers. I'm using that same peeled paint. I'm just going to go darker for the stem. So I kind of went a bit lighter on the leaves because I knew I was just going to use one ink. And then we've got the blue. I have to bring back stencil number 5 because I forgot to do the centers. So I'm going to go, one of them I did a little bit darker. This one I'm going darker. And then the other one I'll go a little bit lighter. If I would quit putting it on upside down, it would be great. Okay, and look at how pretty that is. Then I'm going to bring in the vintage photo and just do some ink blending around the edge. I will trim this down slightly smaller, just slightly smaller, because this is the card that I have die cut the postage frame from. Again, that is from the large die of the month. I did not cut out the center, but I did die cut it from that dark blue cardstock. And so I do need to trim this down a little bit, and I distress the edges with my scissors just like I've done on the other cards. I'm not going to show that part because it's just repetitive. And then I bent up some of the edges a little bit, and then I'm going to adhere that down. So now you can see that little postage edge around that card, which is perfect. And again, this will be adhered to a white A2 size card base. I am using the sentiment that says, "Hope this card brightens your day." This is from the Stamp and Die of the month. Okay, on to our next card. This is the small die of the month. I ink blended it like I did that other card a couple of cards ago. And so the 3D embossing folder card. I'm going to take those pieces out and I'm going to take 4 of the 7 pieces and run them through my die cut machine using the embossing folder of the month. I want to have some texture on that. So I'm alternating. I'm going to adhere this. I cut the whole base from Kraft cardstock. These pieces were the whole base and then the center piece. If you looked at the die, I should have showed you the die, but it really is self-explanatory. It's not difficult. To cut out these separate little pieces, I'm going to add foam adhesive behind all of them and adhere it to this Kraft cardstock background. We are going to make a shaped card out of this, and I will show you how I did the base. It's really super simple if you've never done a shaped card before. Really, really easy to do. But let's get this put together. This has florals with it as well. You can fill up every one of these petals, I'm going to call them, with florals, but I'm just going to do 3. So I'm the 3 pieces that I did not use the embossing folder on, I'm going to add the flowers to. The flowers are simple, a darker green for the greenery and then white and pink for the flowers, keeping that again really simple because we have a lot going on in the background. I'm also using one of the gold embossed sentiments from the stamp and die of the month, and it says "You're one of a kind," so I thought that was a really fun sentiment. And I'm going to place that right in that bottom little half circle. So that flower is going to go there. Let's glue this flower together. I am using white cardstock and chiffon cardstock. And if you've noticed, I'm not ink blending a lot of the flowers. I might be ink blending a background or something like that, but I'm not ink blending the flowers or anything like that. Especially when you're doing this many cards, that can become too much. So just go with your die cut images with your beautiful colored cardstock. You don't have to ink blend everything. And that's something I have to tell myself because I want to ink blend everything or use a marker or add some shading or shadow. And this still turned out just as beautiful, and I did not need to do that. So let's get these guys finished being put together. I can adhere them to my greenery. So let me just pop those guys in place. And then once I adhere them down, I can add my leaves to the other flowers. So that is coming together so nicely. So let's put those, I was deciding foam adhesive or not. I opted for not because I already have foam adhesive on the background. And let me put that in place. I think this is turning out so pretty, and I love that it's a shaped card. When I saw that there was one on the website, I was like, yes, that is a perfect shaped card. And I love shaped cards. Sometimes I just forget I need to do that. Let me get my last little bit of leaves on here. And then I'm also going to use some gold sequins. So I mentioned I added the sentiment at the bottom, some gold sequins, and then I'll show you. I started with an A2 size card base that's already folded. The fold is at the top here. I'm going to line up that solid piece. This is what die cut our Kraft background. Making sure the top of the die cut is above the crease in your card. And then that's going to give us a little bit of a hinge for the card base to open and close. So now I can adhere our beautiful card front to our card base. And you won't even notice that the top of that was cut off at all. And then this just opens and closes perfectly. Okay, on to our next card. This is the stamp and die of the month, so I'm going to be showcasing the sentiments. I used that small little frame die from the bonus die cut. And then I use the 3D embossing folder of the month, and I just put it in that top part. So it has some nice fun texture. Of course, I'm using Kraft cardstock, but here's some images that we already put together earlier that can carry over onto this card. And I'm going to use a couple of the sentiments from the stamp and die set of the month. So this is going to say, "Smile, have a nice day," which I think is just a sweet sentiment, of course. This is for anything. It could be a birthday, it could be a whatever, it could be, just because, which is, you need a lot of those cards, I think, in your stash. It's perfect. I distressed the edge a little bit of that pink cardstock on the background, and then this will be adhered to a white A2 size card base. And then we're going to work on our last card here in just a second, you guys, and you are doing such a good job hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I know it's a long video, but how fun to showcase all of these club kits from Spellbinders. They are amazing. Okay, I'm using that largest frame from the bonus die. I die cut that from white cardstock. This is the embossing folder of the month. I've used it a few times, but here is the card that's dedicated to that. I love it on the white cardstock. I'm going to take that smaller frame that I die cut from the bonus die and put that right in the center. I'm going to leave the white, all that white. I think it's so pretty with all of that texture from the embossing folder on the background. I'm not even sure where I wandered off to, so sorry guys. And so I'm going to place this right in the center, and we have some of those daisies left from our previous card. I'm going to use the foiled sentiment. It says a first class hello, because I had more of that, and I love the Kraft cardstock. I think it is beautiful with this blue and white. So I'm going to pop that up with a little bit of foam adhesive. And then I had some of the petals left, the extra petals that go on these flowers, and I thought it would be fun to cut one in half to give me 2 petals and just have some of the petals falling. So I'm going to have that going on here right now. So I'm going to trim that piece off and then just glue those down like they're falling. I love it. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the sequence to this. Then in just a second, we can take a look at all of the cards. I do have 1mm foam adhesive behind the back of this. I do want this popped up because it's going to be white on white. And so to have a little bit of dimension between the card front and the card base is always a nice look. Okay, this is the stitching die of the month, or stitching kit of the month for Spellbinders January 2026. The Betterpress and foil plate. Look at that. We've got the Betterpress and foiling. The 3D embossing folder of the month. It is absolutely stunning with that ink blending. Then we have the large die of the month. I love this little scene, and the postage frame I think is so fun. The stencil of the month with our little pink poppies here. Then the small die of the month. That's the shaped card. I think it turned out so pretty. Then we have the stamp and coordinating dies, which are our sentiments here. And then the last one is the embossing folder of the month. Look at that beautiful texture on that white card. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed these projects. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.